bring in former acting chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, Tom Philipson. Tom, great to see you. But if you look at some of the trading done by Pelosi's hubs and how it is timed with votes in the House, it just smells bad. And this is where Sean and I debate this. You should not have to pass additional rules about stock ownership in Congress. Insider trading is illegal, and they should prosecute it, whether it's civil, SEC, or federally, if what they're doing is illegal. But how do you see it, particularly with this legislation trying to potentially end stock ownership over in Congress?
Well, shocker, guys. It turns out that lawmakers make laws that benefit lawmakers, essentially. So that's why Congress have no insider trading laws, but the executive branch does, essentially. But both obviously have a conflict of interest. Whether you make laws or you execute laws, you still have a lot of conflicts of interest. So if you look at the White House regulations, which are very important because the White House gets, all the market data a day before. So today's jobs report were known by the White House yesterday afternoon, essentially. So you need trading restrictions within the White House to discipline that. But basically, you're not allowed to own individual stocks. You have to recuse yourself if you do. So many people just sell them off, essentially. I think that's the way to go with Congress. There needs to be a sell-off. There can't be a recuse because essentially you can't recuse yourself from representing the people you actually that voted for you. So it should just be a sell-off of individual stocks. You can still own index funds, which you can in the executive branch too.
So, Tom, I would disagree with you on this because, again, when you're in the executive branch, you might be crafting rules and regulations that you can spring on the markets. A lot of that's done behind closed doors. In Congress, a lot of the bills, they're debated in public, right? You see the hearings, you see the bills voted on, you see them go to the floor. You have as much knowledge about whether these bills will pass as the members of Congress do. The one distinction, though, I'll give you is if you're in leadership, if you're Nancy Pelosi and you're going to make sure the CHIPS Act passed and how much it's going to be, and it was written behind closed doors and it's sprung on the American people, she knows Joe Biden's going to sign it, that's different. That's a different scenario. But rank and file members of Congress, and I was there for 9 years, they don't have insider information. They just don't. And a lot of them don't have a lot of money. And to say we're not going to treat them like average Americans, a lot of people come into the executive branch, they have a lot of money, and they serve for 2 to 4 years. Members of Congress, you want some for 2 or 4 years, but you also want some that are there for 20 years, so you have institutional knowledge. And to say they can't trade stock, I think that's a step too far. But if you trade on insider information, that's illegal and they should be prosecuted.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's more public in Congress for sure, but they still will know more than the public, right? It's like with a lot of companies, they have a lot of public disclosure of their information. That doesn't mean that the board or management still knows more. So the lawmakers might know what has a chance of passing or not, essentially, better than the trading public. But I agree with you.
You have more faith in Congress than I do, Tom.
They shouldn't be banned from holding stocks. They can hold index funds, but they shouldn't hold individual stocks where they basically can benefit that industry.
I can beat a trader with mutual funds and index funds. I've done it multiple years. Boom. So no, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I've never owned individual stocks in 30 years of being a financial journalist. Moving on, or in any individual security. I want to move on to old Joe's giving the federal bureaucrats who make his agenda possible a very, very cherry raise through an executive order. They're going to get an average pay bump of 5.2%. It's the largest increase for government workers in more than 4 decades. 40 years, Tom. Talk about filling up the swamp.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you look at 2023, there's 2 things going on. One is that a lot of the jobs created, as been discussed before, have been created in the government, essentially, either in the government or sectors that get paid by the government, such as healthcare, which is about 60% paid by the government now. So you have both increased labor and increased wages in this sector. But in a capitalist labor market, you have to have the customers love what you're doing in order to increase, hiring and pay people more. In a government labor market, we have an approval rating of 30 something for the White House and 15% approval rating for Congress, and then we're going to start hiring more people at higher wages. That sounds a little off.
And they work from home, Tom. They don't have to go to the office. That's how ridiculous this is. Tom Philipson, always a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you guys again. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, Tom.